Good evening. You're watching the News at 6 with me, Shan Russell. The News at 6 is all about the day's biggest developing stories, and we'll be filling in on them over the next half hour. But first, the headlines that we're tracking right now. Prime Minister Narendra Modi holds bilateral talks with Brazilian President Michel Temer. Both leaders discuss ways to scale up cooperation, witness exchange of 4 cross-sectoral MOUs. Farmers start 48-hour rail roko agitation across Tamil Nadu for Kaveri Management Board. High-level team tells Supreme Court that both Karnataka and Tamil Nadu suffer water shortages. Supreme Court reserves order in the BCCI case allows cricket body time to implement reforms without setting a deadline. And joint forces in Iraq start a decisive push to reclaim Mosul from the Islamic State. The city is reported to be the last stronghold of the terrorist forces. Our top story this evening, Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Brazilian President Michel Temer had held summit-level talks in Goa today. The talks focused on nourishing economic and investment ties between the two countries. The two sides signed 3 memorandums of understanding. Prime Minister Modi thanked Brazil for its support to India's NSG bid. The Brazilian president too invited Prime Minister Modi to visit his country.
A day after the BRICS summit, Prime Minister Narendra Modi held bilateral talks with Brazilian President Michel Temer in Goa on Monday. Both leaders discussed the entire spectrum of the relationship and ways to scale up cooperation between the two countries. They also witnessed the exchange of 4 cross-sectoral MOUs. The agreements include areas of genetic resources, agriculture, animal husbandry, natural resources, fisheries, farmer products regulation, cattle genomics and assisted reproductive technologies, investment cooperation and facilitation treaty. Prime Minister Modi also welcomed Brazilian companies to invest in India while seeking greater markets for Indian products in Brazil.
I welcome Brazilian companies to come and invest in India and forge long-term commercial partnerships. I am encouraged at the steps they are taking to advance pragmatic collaboration. We will fully support this. I have sought President Temer's support in facilitating greater market access and investment opportunities for Indian products and companies.
The Prime Minister also appreciated Brazil's support for India's actions to combat terrorism. He also thanked President Temer for understanding India's aspirations in seeking the membership of the Nuclear Suppliers Group.
We agreed that the world must come together to fight this menace without distinction. We thank Brazil for understanding India's aspiration for membership of the Nuclear Suppliers Group.
The Brazilian president emphasized the importance of bilateral relations between India and Brazil, stating that trade between the two countries could triple in a few years.
Despite the geographical distance, the fact is that Brazil and India do share the very same set of values and objectives. All of us, both of our nations, Brazil and India, are among the world's largest democracies in the developing world. We have also completed the negotiations regarding the cooperation and investments facilitation agreement between our two countries. The agreement will obviously expand and boost legal certainty for investors.
Temer also invited the Prime Minister to visit Brazil to further scale up the engagement between the two countries. With Akhilesh Suman in Goa, Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
The State Councillor of Myanmar, Aung San Suu Kyi, has arrived in New Delhi for a 3-day visit. Suu Kyi is accompanied by several key ministers and senior officials. During her stay in Delhi, she will also attend a business event where she will interact with leading Indian business leaders to boost bilateral economic and commercial relations. She will meet President Pranab Mukherjee and External Affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj on Tuesday. On Wednesday, she is scheduled to have a meeting with Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Suu Kyi reached India on Sunday to attend the BRICS and BIMSTEC Outreach Summit in Goa. Now, Vice President Mohammad Hamid Ansari will reach Algeria later tonight after finishing the Hungary leg of his two-nation 5-day tour. He is expected to have bilateral meetings with the President of Algeria. The Vice President said Algeria was rich in oil and natural gas and was a major supplier of gas to Europe. India already imports oil from Algeria, and with this tour, it's aiming to explore various other opportunities. Algeria has extensive reserves of phosphates, and the possibility of a joint venture fertilizer plant is also expected to be finalized. The Vice President also added that a proposed MOU on water management was aimed at what India could learn from Algeria's experiences on how to clean a river and make it navigable. Now, India and Hungary on Sunday pitched for setting up a strong global legal framework and sustained international action to eliminate the scourge of terrorism. Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban also supported India's position by promising support in global fora. Both the countries have also agreed to set up a working group on technological development besides signing 2 MOUs.
India and Hungary on Sunday pitched for setting up a strong global legal framework and sustained international action to eliminate the scourge of terrorism. Vice President Mohammad Hamid Ansari also expressed India's appreciation for the support extended by Hungary to India's membership of the Missile Technology Control Regime and for entry into the nuclear suppliers group.
There has been a meeting of minds between our two sides, and the scourge of terrorism needs to be eliminated, and that the need of strong global legal framework and concerted action by all in dealing with this threat.
The two nations signed an MOU on cooperation in the field of water management in the Hungarian Parliament complex. The agreement will enable India to utilize Hungarian technological expertise in major river cleaning projects in India.
The two countries have today signed a memorandum of understanding on cooperation in the field of water management and another MOU between the Indian Council of World Affairs and the Institute of Foreign Affairs and Trade of Hungary.
Speaking on the occasion, Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban pointed out the warm ties India and Hungary shared since 1956 revolution. He said that as the world faces both opportunity and threat, Hungary backs India's philosophy of peaceful development.
I'm convinced that if this peaceful development of the Indian philosophy will prevail, then the current transformations of politics and economy in the world will undergo a peaceful development.
As India remains the largest greenfield investor in Hungary, the visit is set to boost the cooperation further, especially in the field of defense, innovation and agriculture. Hungary also showed keen interest in collaborating with Indian film industry. A delegation will soon come to India to discuss future modalities.
The achievements of Hungarian innovation to work on common projects to exploit these. So we agreed to set up a working group on technology which would have the mission to investigate and to try and to reconcile the existing Hungarian and Indian capacities in this field.
Vice President Ansari will leave on the second leg of his two-nation visit to Algeria today. With Chetan Datta, this is Sandeep Yash's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
A Farmers' Federation in Tamil Nadu has called for a 2-day rail blockade starting Monday. They're demanding the setting up of Kaveri Water Management Board. Opposition parties, including the DMK, have joined the statewide protest. Meanwhile, a technical committee constituted by the Supreme Court has submitted its report acknowledging the problems faced by Karnataka in releasing the water to Tamil Nadu.
Farmers in Tamil Nadu went on a 48-hour rail roko agitation across the state to support their demand for a Kaveri Management Board. Opposition parties, including the DMK, joined the protest. Leading a procession at Perambur, DMK leader M.K. Stalin was detained and later released by the police. In Pudukkottai, hundreds of DMK cadres blocked trains. More than 2,500 workers from the left, BCK and MDMK also staged protests in Thanjavur and Cuddalore. They were later detained by the police.
The union government should constitute the Kaveri Management Board immediately as per the direction of Supreme Court. This is our main demand only one demand.
In Thanjavur district, the police arrested several farmers protesting on the rail tracks. More arrests were made at Pollachi, Metupalayam and Sulur railway stations in Coimbatore district. There is a heavy deployment of police forces at railway stations across the state to maintain law and order.
Farmers are suffering. There is no water. There is no, all the 3 season crops have failed. At about 17 to 18 lakh hectares of land is without water. Where will the farmers go? They will have to commit suicide. At least now the government of India should put pressure on the government of Karnataka or form the management board so that the control of Kaveri river goes to the management board and water is released to the Tamil Nadu farmers.
Meanwhile, a high-level technical team submitted its findings to the Supreme Court. The committee said farmers are suffering from water deficits in both Karnataka and Tamil Nadu. It suggested cooperation and efforts to give some relief to farmers in both states. The Supreme Court had sought the team to assess realities in the Kaveri basin areas in the 2 states. The court will hear a case filed by Tamil Nadu on the Kaveri river water sharing on Tuesday. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
A suspected militant snatched at least 5 guns from security guards in Anantnag district of Jammu and Kashmir. The militants barged into the guard room of a TV tower late on Sunday night and fled with the security men's weapons. An alert was issued and all entry and exit points leading to the village were sealed. Massive search operations were also launched to locate the gunmen and the weapons. The men snatched 1 insas and 1 carbine rifle each and 3 self-loading rifles. The tower police guards were taken into custody. Now, state tax officials today held a mass protest in Delhi against the centre on the perceived fallout of the goods and services tax regime. The move comes a day ahead of the crucial meeting of the all-powerful GST Council that will sort out issues for the rollout of the new indirect tax regime from April 1st, 2017.
The perceived loss of revenue due to the goods and services tax is setting off alarm bells among the state tax officials. Around 2.5 lakh members of the All India Confederation of Commercial Taxes Associations and Deputy Commissioner rank bureaucrats are protesting against the centre for allegedly throttling their fiscal autonomy. Officials claim that in the long run there will be no promotion and creation of new jobs in commercial departments of the states. The association wants states to be allowed to enforce and collect tax on both goods and services.
This will definitely disturb the state's administrative control on its economy. Every state should have some resources to tax, own resources to tax, and should have some control over its own tax resources.
The Union government advanced the winter session of Parliament specially to expedite the GST rollout. Parliament passed the Constitution 122nd Amendment Bill for the GST in August, but it has to clear the central GST and integrated GST bills before the rollout. The opposition parties plan to raise all contentious issues in the upcoming session.
Again, they will have to come back to Parliament. At that time, at that point of time, we will raise some of these issues which are in the apprehensions which are in the minds of such sections of our employees.
The GST Council decided that states will have administrative control over assessees with annual turnover of less than 1.5 crore rupees. After the 1.5 crore mark, the new regime espouses the role of equal jurisdiction between the state and the centre. There will be status quo for assessment of service tax assessees, with the powers continuing to stay with the centre.
एक उनका भ्रम है, ये एक सिस्टम जो बनता है उसमें इस प्रकार के स्लैब्स दिए जाते हैं और वो तय हुआ है. इसमें किसी को पावर कम, किसी को अधिक, ऐसी बात नहीं है. सवाल ये है कि जिसके दायरे में जो आएगा वो उसके लिए उत्तरदायित्व उसका बनेगा और वो उसके लिए जिम्मेदार होगा.
Tuesday's meeting of the GST Council will deliberate on various contentious issues. The Finance Ministry has set November 22nd as the deadline for building consensus on all the issues in the Council. Kriti Mishra, Rajya Sabha TV.
Some more national news updates now nationwide. Punjab Congress Chief Amrinder Singh on Monday embarked on a 3-day Kisan Bus Yatra, which will cover over 500 kilometers in 7 districts of the state. He began the journey with a vow to punish the Badal government for allegedly pushing the state's farmers to suicide. The Yatra was flagged off by the widows of 9 debt-ridden farmers who committed suicide. The Bus Yatra will be dotted by Kisan Sabhas and Mandi meetings in addition to roadshows. Normal life remained affected in Kashmir on Monday amid a shutdown call given by separatists. Because of the shutdown, the state is being estimated to be losing 135 crore rupees a day, with small traders being hit the hardest. Schools and colleges have also remained shut for over 3 months now, derailing academic sessions. Kashmir is grappling with its worst unrest in 6 years that began after security forces killed a Hizbul terrorist, Buranwani, in July. Separatists have repeatedly extended their shutdown call. The Supreme Court on Monday asked the CBI to conclude its investigation into journalist Rajdev Ranjan's murder within 3 months. The court said that none of the accused in the case was allowed to seek bail on grounds that there was a charge sheet yet to be filed in the matter. The Supreme Court also sought a report as to whether the two absconding offenders, Mohammad Kaif and Mohammad Javed, were declared proclaimed offenders in the case on the day they were seen with Bihar Health Minister Tej Pratap Yadav and controversial RJD leader Shahabuddin. Two people were arrested on Monday by the Mumbai police in connection with the murder of a 72-year-old RTI activist. Veera was shot dead at point-blank range on Saturday at his residence in Santa Cruz. He'd been fighting the land mafia, unauthorized structures and encroachments in and around Kalina. Veera had reportedly persuaded BMC authorities on Saturday morning to issue phone notices to a local goon living in the same area. Gir Wildlife Sanctuary in Gujarat reopened for tourists on Sunday after a 4-month gap. Nature lovers and wildlife enthusiasts enjoyed the safari on the first day after the reopening. Sanctuary closes from June to October every year since the 4 months of monsoon are considered to be the best time for mating for several wild animals and birds in the sanctuary. Time for us to take a short break. Lot more on the other side. Do stay tuned.
Gyan chopper is the ancient version of Indian snakes and ladders. This intriguing game was popular among the old, the young and the rulers as well. The chopper has its origin in the Jain philosophy. It tells the story of virtue, symbolized by the ladders, rewarded, while the vices shown by the snakes are punished. Each square, in turn, also narrates a message of wisdom.
Welcome back. You're watching the news at 6. Now, the BCCI top brass got another chance on Monday with the Chief Justice of India, T.S. Thakur, asking for an undertaking on the dates by when the Indian Cricket Board will adopt the Justice Lodha Committee recommendations. The top court had been expected to announce its order on the Lodha Committee's plea seeking to replace the current BCCI office bearers for impeding the panel's work, but CJI Thakur's request has handed the board more time.
BCCI's contention that the one state, one vote recommendation would take time to implement has saved its top brass the axe from the apex court. The Supreme Court has reserved its order on BCCI's compliance of Lodha panel recommendations. The BCCI sought more time to implement the reforms, a request granted by the Supreme Court. A deadline has not been set.
कोर्ट काफी सख्त था, वन स्टेट वन वोट. मुझे नहीं लगता है कि हिंदुस्तान में जन्म लिए हुए किसी बच्चे को क्रिकेट खेलना है कि नहीं खेलना है ये डिसाइड करने वाला बीसीसीआई कौन होता है. फंडामेंटल राइट का हनन करने वाला बीसीसीआई आज फिर उसी पे हुआ. वन स्टेट वन वोट अगर हम दे देंगे मणिपुर को, मिजोरम को, नागालैंड, अरुणाचल को, तो बॉम्बे कैसे उसके साथ खेले.
बहुत सारी रिकमेंडेशंस मानी भी गई है और जिन पे कंफ्यूजन है और आपत्ति है तो कंफ्यूजन को दूर करना चाहिए मुझे लगता है.
Earlier, the amicus curiae in the case, Gopal Subramaniam, had asked the court to appoint an administrator or direct the Lodha committee to do so. He had also sought initiation of civil and criminal contempt charges against BCCI officials for disobeying the apex court's order.
Continuously disrespect of Honorable Supreme Court. बार-बार वही चीज दोहराई गई क्योंकि आपको याद होगा कि 6 अक्टूबर के आदेश में ये था कि हर स्टेट क्रिकेट एसोसिएशन लोढ़ा कमेटी को इम्प्लीमेंट करेगा. इस रेजोल्यूशन के साथ कॉपी कोर्ट को सामने देगा आज के डेट के पहले, लेकिन कोई स्टेट क्रिकेट एसोसिएशन नहीं आया.
In a personal affidavit filed in the court, BCCI President Anurag Thakur also clarified the approach to the International Cricket Council. He stated that he had not asked the ICC CEO Shashank Manohar to state that the appointment of the Lodha committee would tantamount to government interference in the functioning of BCCI.
जब वो आईसीसी के चेयरमैन बने तब एक बीसीसीआई के अध्यक्ष के नाते मैंने उनसे पूछा जो आपका स्टैंड था तो आज उसके कारण आप क्या कहना चाहते हो तो उन्होंने उसके ऊपर अपना उत्तर दिया है बस उतनी बात हमने कही है उस पे
On Saturday, in a special general body meeting, the board discussed the possibility of implementing Lodha reforms. All state associations are said to have supported their call to not accept the recommendations. However, Vidarbha, Tripura and Rajasthan are going ahead and accepting all the reforms unilaterally, and the Hyderabad Cricket Association has pledged compliance in an undertaking to a lower court. With inputs from Ravindra Shoran, Bureau Report for Rajya Sabha TV.
Some more sports action now in Sports Beat. Indian shuttler Saurabh Verma has clinched the men's singles title at the Chinese Taipei Open, defeating Malaysia's Darren Liu. Saurabh rallied to grab the first two games 12-10, 12-10 and emerged victorious after his opponent Liu retired at 3-3 in the third owing to a problematic shoulder. Defending champion Ajay Jairam failed to clinch his third successive Dutch Open title as he lost to Chinese Taipei's Zhu Weiwang 10-21, 21-17, 18-21 in the final on Sunday. The top-seeded Indian shuttler, who had beaten Zhu in their previous two meetings, lost the final in 55 minutes. Australian tennis player Nick Kyrgios has been banned for 8 weeks with an additional $25,000 fine for his conduct during a defeat at the Shanghai Masters. The Tennis Federation said Kyrgios' conduct was contrary to the integrity of the game. In the second-round defeat at the tournament, Kyrgios put in a series of half-hearted serves and appeared to be walking off court even before the point was completed. Serena Williams is withdrawn from next week's WTA Finals in Singapore because of a shoulder injury. The shoulder injury has troubled Williams over the past few months, having pulled out of 2 tournaments in China earlier this month. The world #1 American has not played since losing the semi-final of the US Open in September. Some international news now, and the UK and France are expected to push for strong condemnation of Russia and Syria as EU foreign ministers meet to discuss the war in Syria. This as the death toll due to air raids in Aleppo continues to rise. EU foreign ministers met in Luxembourg on Monday with plans to continue pushing for humanitarian aid to reach the besieged Syrian city. The EU is stepping up efforts to support the United States in its bid to stop the bombing of eastern Aleppo, where 275,000 civilians are trapped. The bloc is, however, split over strategy towards Russia, which is its biggest energy supplier. European Union leaders are expected to discuss Russia and possibly new sanctions at a summit in Brussels on Thursday.
Stress that the solution to this, the future salvation of Aleppo, lies really with the Assad regime and above all with the Russians. It's up to them to pull the plug on this thing, to see sense, and I appeal to the greatness of the Russian people to choose a different path and to go for peace and get us back on the path of negotiations in Geneva. That's what we need today, and that's what we'll be discussing. Thank you very much.
Et il faut aussi dire clairement que la Russie est engagée aux côtés du régime de Bachar el-Assad dans une logique de destruction. On pense bien sûr à l'expérience de Grozny, mais ça ne peut pas être une option. On ne peut pas fermer les yeux sur cette situation.
Meanwhile, airstrikes killed at least 12 civilians in Aleppo on Monday, taking the death toll in the last 24 hours of bombardment to 45. Dozens more were wounded or still trapped under the rubble. Security rescue missions remain incomplete in fear of further airstrikes by warplanes circling above. Both Russian and Syrian warplanes are carrying out airstrikes over Aleppo to capture rebel-held parts of the northern city. Now, Iraqi forces have launched a campaign to retake Mosul from Islamic State terrorists. The government offensive is backed by armed tribes, militias and US-led coalition airstrikes. Mosul is Iraq's second-largest city and the last urban center still under IS control. The recapture of Mosul would mark the effective defeat of the IS in Iraq.
Iraqi forces have begun their offensive to recapture the city of Mosul. the de facto capital and the last stronghold of Islamic State terrorists in the country. The assault on Mosul is backed by the US-led coalition and could be one of the biggest military operations in Iraq since the 2003 US-led invasion that toppled Saddam Hussein.
يا أبناء شعبنا العزيز، يا أبناء محافظة نينوى الأحبة، لقد دقت ساعة الانتصار وابتدأت عمليات تحرير الموصل. أعلن اليوم ابتداء هذه العمليات البطلة.
It was from Mosul that Islamic State leader Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi declared a caliphate in the territory controlled by the group in Iraq and Syria. The bid to retake Mosul comes after the military, backed by armed tribes and militias, along with US-led coalition airstrikes, regained much of the territory seized by the terror group since 2014. Monday saw artillery fire in the city, with Kurdish forces saying they have retaken a number of villages in their advance.
والله ورا منظور برزه وقتی داعش قوت برانبری ما هیچ نبود است برای فروخان هر حساب میان بنا کرد ورا پشمرگی زور برزه لبروی برزه اما ضد گروپ کیش دکن شر دکن که ضد بشریت.
However, the launch of the operation marks only the start of a battle that is likely to last a few weeks. The United Nations has expressed extreme concern for the safety of up to 1.5 million people in the area, fearing that the vastly outnumbered Islamic State fighters could use them as human shields as they seek to repel the assault. Islamic State has also lost ground in Syria, losing one of its strongholds, Dabiq. Syrian rebels backed by Turkish forces took control of the northern Syrian town following heavy shelling and months of airstrikes. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Some more international news now in Global Buzz. China on Monday launched a spacecraft carrying 2 astronauts in its longest ever manned space mission. The astronauts will dock with the experimental Tiangong-2 space lab and spend 30 days there. China conducted its first manned space mission in 2003 and plans to launch its maiden Mars mission in 2020. At least 30 people were killed and 60 injured in a road accident when 2 passenger buses collided in Pakistan's Punjab province. The accident took place in the Kanpur area of Rahim Yar Khan. According to officials, one of the buses was headed for Lahore while the other was heading to Sadiqabad. The president of the Philippines, Rodrigo Duterte, has said he doesn't care about human rights as he dismissed the deaths of innocent civilians and children in the war on drugs. According to reports, more than 3,500 people have been killed in the first 100 days of Rodrigo Duterte's presidency. But international observers have warned that many of the dead are innocent people caught in the crossfire or murdered over personal scores. A powerful typhoon hit Philippines, leaving at least 2 people dead and displacing thousands. Typhoon Sarika, also known as Karen, slammed the north of the country early Sunday. Disaster officials said that the typhoon forced the cancellation of about 160 domestic and international flights and stranded more than 6,500 travelers in seaports. A giant panda believed to have been the oldest ever kept in captivity has died at the age of 38. The death of Jia, whose age in human terms was more than 100 years, was announced by the Hong Kong theme park where she lived. Her condition had worsened rapidly in recent weeks and she is said to have lost her appetite. That's all from us. Goodbye.